Teacher. Children are psychic vampires. I'm a marine biologist. I spent the last week measuring defrosted fish heads. Nurse. Just kidding, no one thinks that sounds fun. Video game tester. You aren't spending your time playing completed fully realized games. You are playing the same level of a game over and over, seeing if there are bugs. Being a chef. All the flair and awesomeness they show on Vice and Netflix is far from what actually happens in the industry. It's not all fancy plates and tattooed/cool-haired guys doing their thing. It's a drug-infested, law-breaking work environment that only benefits the owners of a restaurant. Programmer. People see it as an anonymous figure typing a few lines of code and gaining access to top-secret files. In reality, it's 10% coding and 90% searching your problems on Stack Overflow. Flight attendant. 1. You are on call, on reserve, forever, have a terrible schedule, have no life, and make no money for 5 to 10 years. 2. While you work for peanuts, you can't afford to use your flight benefits in any substantial way. 3. Then, when you finally get a chance to use your benefits for a trip, you have to fly standby, which means you aren't guaranteed to get on the flight you want. 4. Then, if you do make it out of town, you better have like a week off so you can make damn sure you're back in your base city in time for your next work shift. 5. Did I mention there is an act of US legislation, Railway Labor Act, that allows airlines to exploit so you don't get paid for certain work hours that you actually need to be working? For example, FAs don't get paid for boarding, or any time the plane is at the gate. Worst job ever. Veterinarian. Truly shocked that nobody has said this one yet. We have the highest suicide rate of any profession. It's a lot more talking to people about money and a lot less doing medicine and saving animals than people hope going into it. Not all of the animals are grateful, some of them want to bite you because you're hurting them and they don't know it's in their best interest. Clients can be hugely manipulative jerks. There's lots of student debt. And don't get me started on near constant exposure to low levels of anesthetic gases. Dog hotel. Thought I'd get to play with puppies all day. Instead, I cleaned diarrhea off kennel floors for 5 hours a day and stopped tiny dogs from humping each other for the other 3. Librarian. It's not all books and being quiet. There are also spreadsheets. Zookeeper. Don't get me wrong, it's awesome to be around so many amazing animals and care for them. But the smells are ridiculously, insanely foul. I have a really strong stomach and it's still tough for me. We've had some interns quit over it. I was warned about the smells when getting into the field, but thought, oh, I volunteered at animal shelters, I know what animal stink smells like. Nope. Not even close. Being a character performer at Disney. Don't get me wrong, there are some amazing perks and truly magical moments. I know I'm super lucky and tons of people would love to be in my shoes. But the day-to-day work is exhausting in ways I never thought possible. Guests are ridiculously abusive, I've had things said and done to me I never would have imagined. The company isn't always great, it highly depends on your leadership. And there's so much focus on your body and face, good and bad, that it can be incredibly depressing and difficult emotionally. Plus, you have to accept that there's very little upward mobility. Most people grow out of it and it's rough to know that one day you'll get too old or too fat and you will have to start all over in a new career field. So you constantly are thinking either, 1, what you're going to do when you leave, 2, how you're going to keep yourself there. I personally knew it would be temporary, and I now only work there seasonally while I have a normal career. But Disney has a way of sucking you in. Baker. Coming into work at 3/4 am so you can have a 6 am baked goods is miserable. Game master at an escape room. It's the same repetitive script, resetting the same stuff, giving clues and hints about the same things. The patrons are often competitive families who argue, obnoxious impatient 13-year-olds, college students who have been drinking, idiots who break stuff and touch stuff that I specifically told them not to. They never remember your initial instructions. If something gets broken during one group, you have to hurry and fix it before the next group. I'm a forensic scientist and it's literally the only thing people ask me about on dating apps. It's very technical work and it's extremely routine. Programming. Please help me. I need a hug. Why did I need to be such a nerdy kid when I was younger? Lifeguarding. Everyone expects Baywatch, act, saving lives all the time. But it's usually just sitting there blowing your whistle telling little kids to stop messing around. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't know if people usually think of that career as fun, but I think people think it's a lot more eureka, and a lot less this data has to be manually processed for 600 hours before I can analyze it. Demolition. Everyone wants to break stuff with a sledgehammer. Everyone is tired of lifting that sledgehammer by 5 swings. Nobody wants to load the broken stuff into bags or a wheelbarrow and take it to the dumpster. Paleontologist. You don't get to work with full dinosaur skeletons and do all kinds of awesome expeditions. You're mostly sitting at a desk looking at some pictures and logging stuff on your computer, maybe examining a fossil occasionally. If you're lucky you can go on a real dig, and OMG spend hours in the hot sun dusting off rocks. Acting. All the ones we see on TV and movies are the 0.0001% of incredibly lucky and talented people who manage to thrive in a hostile and overcrowded industry. And even when you are working, the actual job itself is 99% sitting on apple crate in hot makeup waiting for some grips to move a lighting fixture. Then you say 3 lines over and over again for an hour, and then you rap. Lawyer. No, it isn't like they show on TV. Hey, finally case is before the judge, damn the other party didn't show up. Next date that judge has given is 3 months away. Working in a music store, musical instruments. Your days are spent listening to 50 different people play 50 different riffs poorly simultaneously, as if they're all putting on their own concert. Accounting isn't the adrenaline rush that most people think it is. Farming. At least in my experience it's a rough and thankless way to make a living with no days off and no management to cry to when there's a problem. My dad is in the hospital and isn't doing well, can I take a couple days off? The plants. Also everyone thinks you have the cushiest job ever. Everything is automated now, isn't it? You get tons of bailouts and subsidies and whatnot, right? You get 3 months in winter off, right? Maybe out west where they're growing 1 billion acres of corn in one field so the robot tractors can't really get confused and such a machine would actually pay for itself. Only if you're in Iowa growing ethanol corn. It's 3 months of building and equipment maintenance with no pay. It's the exact opposite of a paid vacation, but it goes for months. No, we don't go to Hawaii. Working in a thrift store? Well, I always thought it sounded fun, but it's basically just the retail experience, but on top of that people think they can haggle with you. I specifically worked in a non-profit thrift store, charity shop, so it was extra infuriating when people tried to return things or talk us down from a $5 shirt. This isn't a garage sale. Cybersecurity. Bro, the movies do us no justice. Hacking is not as fast nor is it as easy as the media makes it. It's a great field, but you spend a lot of time researching or watching paint dry, especially in the gov side. Working at a Charles Dickens fair is interesting, but not incredibly fun. It is hard to stay in character, and people get so mad when they see the Alice in Wonderland area. Yeah, we know it's not Charles Dickens, but we can't have a kids' play area in the world of Oliver Twist, okay? Trimming weed. I don't know why people think working with weed is like working in the Willy Wonka factory, it's not. You literally get to make tiny cuts with sticky scissors for 8 hours. Working at Victoria's Secret. People think it's a lot of hot women coming in to buy underwear, but it's mostly Karens. Being a writer. I always thought it was my absolute dream job. But the only job I could get after college was working in a content mill as a blog writer. I used to work 70-hour weeks staring at the computer in a basement of an old bank writing nonsense articles about the dangers of mold, fence cleaning, and why you need a commercial awning, and the dream turned into a nightmare. While I still write occasionally, I am now working as a communications person, so it is a bit less heavy. Engineer. I grew up loving planes and space travel and being interested in how things work. I loved cars and motorcycles and anything mechanical or electrical. The reality is that you sit behind a desk likely making subcomponents at best, and dealing with issues that arise when it doesn't work with another component for the final product. Most engineers will not use even half of what their degree was for. Please note that of course there are exceptions, and many engineers get to do really cool things for their whole career. I'm just saying that most don't. I almost forgot, the bad back.